Family Court Rules 205-66, Terms and Conditions of an Order Suspending Judgment. An order suspending judgment entered pursuant to Section 755 of the Family Court Act shall be reasonably related to the adjudicated acts or omissions of the respondent. They're just making you do these things. So these are the terms and conditions that the respondent would have to follow, and it has to be at least one of these. So again, an order suspending judgment, in a PINS, it shall contain at least one of the following terms and conditions directing the respondent to, and they're very similar to the last one when it came to the adjournment, contemplation, dismissal. So, 1, attend school regularly and obey all rules and regulations of the school. 2, obey all reasonable commands of the parent or other person legally responsible for the respondent's care. 3, avoid injurious or vicious activities. 4, abstain from associating with named individuals, because you might not be able to hang out with certain people. 5, abstain from visiting designated places. 6, abstain from the use of alcoholic beverages, hallucinogens, just drugs, even if they're not lawfully prescribed, or any other harmful, dangerous substances. 7, cooperate with a mental health or other appropriate community facility to which the respondent is referred. 8, make restitution or perform services for the public good. So that's community service. So restitution or community service. 9, restore property taken from the petitioner, complainant, or victim, or replace property taken from the petitioner, complainant, or victim. The cost of said replacement not to exceed $1,000. Okay. Repair any damage to or defacement of the property of the petitioner, complainant, or victim. The cost of said repair not to exceed $1,000. So remember, in a PINS, if it is suspended judgment, if they need to repair anything, damage, or anything that has to do with restoring, repair, anything that the person has to pay money, it's $1,000 with a suspended judgment. When it is an adjournment and contemplation of dismissal, it's $1,500. Okay. The repair cannot exceed $1,500. Again, I'm not making sense. Suspended judgment, the repair can be up to $1,000. In a suspended judgment, the repair cannot exceed $1,000. In an ACOD, the repair cannot exceed $1,500. So that's one of the biggest differences. 12, cooperating, accepting medical care, that's the same. Attend and complete an alcohol awareness program, that's the same. 14, in a case in which respondent has been adjudicated for acts of willful, malicious, or unlawful damage to real or personal property maintained as a cemetery plot, grave, burial place, or other place of interment of human remains, provide restitution by performing services for the maintenance and repair of such property. So this is not in an adjournment, contemplation, or dismissal, but it is in the suspended judgment, that if it has to do with anything with the cemetery, that they have to provide restitution by actually doing community service to actually help maintain and repair the property. 15, comply with such other reasonable terms and conditions as the court shall determine to be necessary or appropriate to ameliorate the conduct which gave rise to the filing of a petition. So now this is an order placing the respondent on probation. Family Court Rules 205.66. An order placing the respondent on probation in accordance with Section 757 of the Family Court Act shall contain at least one of the following terms and conditions in addition to any of the terms and conditions set forth in subdivision A of this section directing the respondent to. So everything else that I just read, right? So everything that I just read, all those 15 things that have to be in the suspended judgment are also going to be in the probation report and also contain at least one of these things. So, meet with the assigned probation officer when directed to do so by that officer. 2, permit the assigned probation officer to visit the respondent at home or at school. 3, permit the assigned probation officer to obtain information from any person or agency from whom the respondent was receiving or was directed to receive diagnosis, treatment, or counseling. 4, permit the assigned probation officer to obtain information from the respondent's school. 5, cooperate with the assigned probation officer in seeking to obtain and in accepting employment and employment counseling services. 6, submit records and reports of earnings to the assigned probation officer when requested to do so by that officer. 7, obtain permission from the assigned probation officer for any absence from the county or residence in excess of 2 weeks. 8, attend and complete an alcohol awareness program established pursuant to Section 1925 of the Mental Hygiene Law. 9, do or refrain from doing any other specific acts or admissions or commission that, in the opinion of the court, is necessary and appropriate to implement or facilitate the order placing the respondent on probation. C, an order entered pursuant to Section 754 of the Family, of the Family Court Act may set a time or times at which the probation services, An order entered pursuant to Section 754 of the Family Court Act may set a time or times at which the probation services shall report to the court orally or in writing concerning compliance with the terms and conditions of said order. D, a copy of the order setting forth the terms and conditions imposed and the duration thereof shall be furnished to the respondent and to the parent or other person legally responsible for the respondents.